AI and cybersecurity. There's a lot of concerns as well over things like the bias that some of these learning language models like ChatGPT has shown, the rise of deep fakes as well. And that's something that I'm looking at really closely, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, as we go into a really important election year over here in the UK and, of course, in the USA, with both elections taking place at some points this year, USA November, ours yet to be determined. So we really need to be thinking about, all these different facets of AI. And when it comes to cybersecurity and how that all links together, I think it's going to be a really interesting time for sure with how all this develops.
Yeah, it's very worrying, but also it's exciting at the same time, because it can write code, but then obviously there's a risk to it writing code without that code being checked properly, having that code created by an AI model, a malicious actor able to go in there. They might be able to inject some sort of malicious code in there, and then obviously that's going to cause damage to the corporation and reputation of that corporation as well, because obviously there are implications if that piece of malicious code does some sort of activity which creates data breach, then obviously data breach is going to be huge. I mean, recently there was a data breach. There have been so many data breaches, right? Like over the past few years, like it's actually pretty insane, really, isn't it? And people just don't invest in the cybersecurity, do they, as much as they actually should? When, I know you will hopefully agree with me that cybersecurity should be the foundation of any business, right? And any piece of new technology that is being implemented.
I agree 100%, because it's so critical. And as you say, there are data breaches, happening every single day. But only the really sort of mainstream, ones, when it's a high-level company, tend to get into the press. But there are always breaches going on, every second of every day, and that's just getting worse and worse all the time. So I always say you never ever will get on top of it, but you do need to be aware of the threat landscape and going on, and all the different trends and enhancements that are happening. You and I were talking just before we started this conversation around a lot of the bigger businesses obviously have the budgets and do invest in their cybersecurity. A lot of small traders, startups, and even some sort of smaller size SMEs still today think that cybersecurity isn't something that they need to have on their radar, and they have a common misconception that they're too small to be targeted, and they're not going to be hit with a cyber attack, which in 2024 I just think, oh my goodness. And I still think there's a really big education piece to be done, particularly to those smaller size businesses, because it's all around, you might think you're small, but what about your supply chains?